little kids. We certainly don't do anything that would be considered too gory.
Do you think we all have an artist inside of us?
I think so. I have a sister. One of my sister-in-laws likes to paint, and she'd never painted before. And then one day she showed me some of her work, and it was just really beautiful. And I said, "Wow, I didn't know you could paint." So yeah, I think. And she had no formal training. It was just something that she did end up going to classes and learning a bit more. But yeah, one day she just picked up the paintbrush and off she went. And yeah, so I think people do, and it doesn't have to be painting. It can be any of the arts. My youngest daughter is a dancer, and she's just fantastic with ballet, and I don't know where she gets it from. So yeah, I think everyone has this innate ability. It's just finding the right time to bring it to the surface. And I think I was just very fortunate enough to have grown up in a family of 4 boys, and being, having everything that a kid needs to have a good, to grow up well, books, and whether it be comics or toys or just television, I think kids today need all of that. Imagination is just as important as, getting an A in maths or science. I think every kid deserves to let their imagination free. And sadly, you just don't see a lot of that these days. It's more about, you've got to play a sport, or you've got to get good marks, and that is important, and we make sure our kids strive to get the best marks that they can, but I also want them to be creative, and that's really, I think everybody needs that. You need a creative spark.
Mm-hmm. Any advice for future writers, illustrators?
Read. If you're going to write, you need to read inside and outside of your chosen genre, because you have to see how other people do it. And every horror author today that I would know, they've read everything by Stephen King or Clive Barker. If you want to know how to write in that genre, you just have to read it. And also, like I said before, building up that dread, that's key to good horror writing. So it's not necessarily write what you know. That's the cliche that everybody uses, but it's write what you feel. Think back to things that scared you, and use that. Think about how we react physically to fear, and also mentally. That helps you get inside a character's head. So yeah, write what you feel is what I would say. As far as illustrating goes, I think don't worry too much about style. Just if you're starting out new and you've never done any drawing or anything before, just pick up the pencil and just draw for the love of it, and then see, you might find along the way that you discover a style, and you just keep working on it. And I always draw for the love. First and foremost, I just want to draw. If I want to draw something scary, I'll just sit down and draw it, and I'll share it. And if by chance someone sees it and says, "Hey, could you do an illustration for my book," or whatever, that's just the icing on the cake. I don't draw from a business perspective. I always draw just because I want to draw something, and I think that's how everybody has to start off. Try not to worry about the nitty gritty of, I want to make money off this, because really, in the end, I have a full-time job that isn't in the arts industry. So the arts, for me, it's not a hobby, but it's something that I do because that's who I really am. My job is just a job. So that's the approach I would take.
Great advice. And where can people connect with you online?
Okay, so I've got 2 websites. So my writing one is Dark Scribe, so DARKSCRYBE.com. And then I also have my art one, which is darkartiste.wordpress.com. But I'm also on Instagram, Greg S. Chapman 76, and I'm also on Facebook. I've got a Facebook page called Greg Chapman, horror author and artist. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you'll be able to connect with me on any of those platforms.
Check him out. If you need a horror writer or illustrator, he's the man.
Yeah.
Just remember, he's 14 hours into the future. If you're in the U.S.
And that's a horror story in itself.
Yeah. But there is hope for our future.
There is.
And my final question for everybody, I always ask, why does art matter?
Art matters because, sadly, in today's society, it probably doesn't matter, if you get my meaning.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that you need the arts to liberate yourself. Much of today's society is about the 9 to 5 and having a family or making sure that you've got enough money in the bank. Whereas the arts, I think, is something that is more about who you are as an individual. And I think if you don't maintain that or look after that side of yourself, you suffer physically, mentally, emotionally. So I think everybody needs to appreciate the arts and not, you may not be an artist, but if you know somebody who is and you like their work, share it or let them know what you think of it. Because it's not only rewarding for them as artists, but it's also rewarding for the people who are looking at that art to sort of, I don't know, when people go to museums, they look at art and it touches them. And I think we need more of that in the world. There's a lot of division in the world at the moment, and I think art seems to bring people together. And if we can keep fostering those creative talents that people have, I think the world will be a better place.
It's one of the best answers for that question. You covered everything, man. I'm feeling that. Thank you so much for that. And thank you so much for being one of the guests this month, the month of Halloween, covering your genre in such a great way, not only as a writer, but as an illustrator. And I'm so thankful you took your time to be on the show. Best of luck in the future and enjoy your Halloween.
You too, and thanks for having me on. It's been a real treat.
Or a trick.
Yeah, or a trick.
No, it was definitely a treat. Thank you for being on the show, Greg. It was such a pleasure learning more about your process and how you do what you do. I tried my Australian accent on him here, but yeah, it didn't seem too convinced. I got to work on it some more, but I love the Australian accent. And it was great to hear his advice on what to do as a writer. Read who writes in your genre. That's very helpful advice. It'd be kind of silly if you want to do children's novels and you're reading something by a crime novelist. It may just not work. Not to say you can't read that, but if you really want to take it seriously, read people who are in your genre. And as far as actually writing, write about what you feel makes you scared. That's very good. I like that one. And so whatever that fear is, face it and embrace it and channel it onto the page. Very helpful. And as far as his art goes, just draw for the love of it. We lose sight on the idea of drawing something and getting it just right. And, I guess if you're doing it for someone and you're getting paid for it, you should take it a little more seriously, but still enjoy the process. Because what you churn out could be a nice surprise and get you more work. And it's still just the whole process of creating something is quite remarkable. And of course, his answer, why art matters, he covered a lot of ground. We need the arts to liberate us. I like that. Because we have all these constraints on us, all these stresses, all these things going on. Sometimes you need that release, and art is a very healthy way to release a lot of emotions, a lot of baggage, a lot of the gook and the stuff inside you. And it's quite true. You suffer if you don't look after it or maintain it. It is so true. I've said it before where I've turned my back on my art and, man, life has sucked really bad when I'm not doing something artistic. It's such a great conversation piece. As I've stuck with this crazy Halloween art challenge, I don't know how I'm doing it, but I somehow managed to turn out some kind of piece of art every day this month that's Halloween themed. And it's great, the feedback. I've posted some things on Instagram and people have asked me to check out their artwork and give them a honest critique. And man, some of these people are way beyond my skill set. And they're asking for my advice? My goodness. There are so many talented artists out there, and I'm grateful to just share space with them and have that connection. It's awesome. I'm really grateful for that part of the Halloween art challenge, that other people are checking it out and enjoying it, and I get to meet other artists and see their work, and some of it is mind-blowing, man. And I know they do the Inktober thing too, which I use as a hashtag because, get more people to check it out. But do check out my artwork on Instagram. There's a lot, and I'm trying to keep up, trying to do something Halloween themed until we reach Halloween night. And Greg also states that even if you don't do anything in the creative arts, it's good to appreciate the arts. It brings people together. Look at a concert. Everybody's there to see one person or a group. They're gathering there to appreciate that person's art. Go seeing a play, going seeing a movie, going to an art gallery. It's all there. You're all there sharing an experience to appreciate and enjoy this art that's in front of you. And you may not even realize it as more as an appreciation, maybe looking for just entertainment, but you are appreciating at the same time. And that's what it's all about. And someone as talented as Greg, I wish he could make his living writing his novels and doing his art. It's kind of bugs me that he has to have a day job. I don't get that. He's turned out all these novels and all this artwork, and he still has to have a day job? Come on, guys. Check out his art. Support him. Make that his day job. I can't stand when I have to see artists still having to hold down a regular job and their artwork isn't enough. What's wrong with this picture? It needs to change. Their art should be enough. Their art matters, and it should be the way that sustains them for all their days. So support your artist. Support the artists on this show. Check out their episodes in the past and check out their links and order their books or t-shirts or go to their classes. There's plenty of things you can do to support them. And I really hope you can do that, especially with Greg. His links and all his stuff will be available in the show notes on the artistreallymatters.com webpage, of course. And if you're digging this episode, share it with someone. It'll bring some inspiration to them. Maybe they'll want to write, or maybe draw something, or something else creative. That's what it's all about. Of course, we are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and many more. And that means we have one more guest for the month of October. But boy, he's a doozy. I can't believe I actually got to speak with him. He's a special effects makeup artist, and he just so happened to be on the sci-fi competition show Face Off.